Welcome to WrestleLine, the show that kicks arse and takes names every time. Hosted by John Scott and Matt Essex.
Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of WrestleLine. Been a while, and pleased to say we're back in the presence of each other, Matt. You've been away to Florida.
Yeah, it's,
Tampa. How was it? Let's get that out of the way with, I suppose.
It's felt like a long time. I mean, you know, the holiday didn't feel so long, but since I've been doing the podcast, and I get what the wrestlers talk about now when they say when they're injured and it feels like it's forever. It's kind of like that with the podcast. I feel like I've missed out on so much. But at least the holiday was good. You know, I did some interesting things, went to some interesting places. Didn't get to see any Mexican wrestling though, so I'm a little bit disappointed there.
But a lot of skulls.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of Mexican skulls. You know, it's one of our things. We do enjoy those.
Shout out to all our Lucha Libre listeners, if there are any. From Mexico. An amazing thing. Yeah, so as Matt said, lots have been going on, especially for us on WrestleLine, more so I would say on the channel. Again, would like to thank everybody that has been helping, sharing our stuff out there. Has helped us a lot. And literally last, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks, I think we haven't been on. So a lot's happened. Coming up on the show then, so we've got Progress Wrestling, my experience down at chapter 95 last weekend, which was pretty decent. Also, what about WWE's NXT debuting on the USA Network? Had a lot of emails from everybody, by the way, about some difficulties with their network, signing in the network for like the hour that was on the network, and there was some problems with that, but Triple H has come out about that since. Also, we're going to be looking at SmackDown, which is very, very shortly going to be debuting on Fox. Some of the stuff coming out, some of the rumblings. And DKW Academy is back on again, and WrestleLine is back in with them again for a show coming up this Friday, which myself and Matt are actually going to be at. We're going to give a little preview for that, and and a little bit more as well. So, Matt, just top of the show here, I guess. Progress Wrestling. I know you was with me last time we went. That was what was that? May, June?
Yeah,
I believe. This was all about heading down there. This was all about David Starr. Could he actually beat the Volta, whatever we're calling him? Volta in WWE and Volta everywhere else, by the sounds of it. Because he'd won the Super 16 Strong Style Tournament, and it was quite a big deal. There was a ton of momentum going in, and I've got to say, once again, being there in person was a fantastic experience live, no doubt about it. Very much looked after. We went as press again. For anyone that hasn't checked out some of the interviews that we got, head on over to our YouTube channel at WrestleLine. We had a few there, but I guess the big things coming out of this, our local chap, Paul Robinson, won this kind of crazy Royal Rumble that was just like WWE Royal Rumble. It was 30 participants, male and female, and Paul Robinson from Southend went in at number 1 and came out victorious as the new champion. And I've got to say, he seemed like he was quite very happy about it, like overwhelmed about actually getting a title for a change. Goodness knows how he's going to defend it, because he can defend it on any stipulation he wants. Some media said, how about the car park of Sainsbury's as a possibility, and which he smiled to. That was pretty cool, and we like him because he's local to us. Matt Riddle, Keith Lee were there. I want to give a shout out to those guys because they've been doing great with sharing our videos, and it was cool to see them against Mustache Mountain, the big strong boy, Tyler Bate. Well, he had to be a big strong boy because he tried to do some like spots in the match where he was trying to like lift Keith Lee, and thankfully they didn't let him do that too much because I thought that would be a little bit overselling, I would say. But that was a great tag team match. I really enjoyed that. We also had new tag team champions there as well, which come in the form of Scotty Davis and Jordan Devlin. won the tag team titles at the show, which was cool. Pete Dunne was in action. That was a great match. And, of course, the main event, Volta up against David Starr, that saw this, well, very unbelievable ending, shocking ending, I think, to most people. Because it was like, the only way I can describe it is it was like really strong style. Volta was literally leaving everything in as he normally does. It looked like he was just actually kicking David Starr 100%, 100 miles per hour. You know, it was that kind of stiffness. But I enjoyed it, and they told a good story. And then all of a sudden, Eddie Dennis, an old fan that was there, he would have loved that, Matt. Eddie effing Dennis comes out. Mark Andrews is in the ring. They announce it's a no DQ match. Mark Andrews hits David Starr with a chair and then stands literally over on top of David Starr's chest to get the 1, 2, 3. And the fans, as you can imagine, were not happy. There was a lot of heat. There was a nice speech given after. And yeah, new Progress heavyweight champion. Matt, what do you make of Eddie Dennis? Because Volta, I mean, it's not like the Progress title just gets handed around like a hot potato. That's actually, it's been with Volta for a long time now. Yeah. So what did you make of hearing about Eddie Dennis stepping up to the plate, and especially given that he's so tied in with the NXT UK right now?
Yeah, well, it sounds like it was cleverly done to me. I mean, they had to get the title off of Walter somehow, and it sounds like a good way because it protects him a little at least. And Eddie Dennis, a great wrestler, no doubt, and he's very popular with the UK fans. So I can see why they would go with him. So I find like it as an interesting angle, and I feel like he'll have many good rivalries, I suppose, going down the line, because it seems like Progress is full of faces right now. And Eddie does play a good heel, so he's definitely going to have his pick of opponents to come. Yeah,
you're right about the baby faces, because Paul Robinson pretty much was babyface, I would say, that night. He'd gone that route, so it won't be him stepping up. So he's going to have like quite a lot of opponents, I would say, over the next few months. He said because everyone was sort of pouncing on the death of apparently Brit Wrestfest, and all these wrestlers basically came out and said the same thing, all the WWE NXT UK guys, and said, look, it is not the end of British wrestling. And I've got to say, from my interpretation of what is going on at Progress, I know there was that big rumour that came out about WWE no longer going to let Progress have their talent. Having Eddie Dennis as the champion, that doesn't send that sign to me at all. So I'm like, that can't be true. And there's too many guys involved. Like Jim Smallman, he wouldn't just leave them in the complete nightmare. He's going to leave them something. So I know he's going. That was one of his last show. He said farewell in the ring. But he ain't just going to leave them with nothing, is he? So I think Progress is still going to be fine, because they're doing their Electric Ballroom show each month, the Camden shows, and then they do their Alexandra Palace shows twice a year. So I don't see WWE just kind of not giving them the talent there. And, of course, Ring of Honor talent go there as well. So as Matt said, Eddie Dennis, quite an interesting choice. I'm sure he was asked about David Starr, and I've got to say, even in the interview, which was kind of, to me, come across as a shoot, as soon as they mentioned David Starr, it looked like a shoot reaction of like, no, he's had his time. So I don't know, it was interesting. It looks like a lot of backstage politics, but it's kind of cool in a wrestling promotion that those kind of things are going on, because it brings a little bit more realism to it, I would say. So yeah, overall, Progress Wrestling, I've got to say, another amazing experience. Since myself and Matt went to one show, which was Hello Wembley, which I rated the best show I'd gone to of 2018. I would say it's still keeping up its very high standards. So yeah, really, really good show. And if anyone wants to catch that now, you're going to be able to see Natural Progression is available on their demand, but also Progress, the entire show itself, will be available on their demand. So I'd really suggest people check that out. It was really, really good. Okay, moving on, Matt. WWE NXT debuts on USA Network. Your impressions, Matt, of seeing the NXT or hearing about it? I don't know if you've seen it yet, but
yeah, no, I did see it. Yeah. It feels like they're trying to keep the format the same, trying to keep to their core structure, But for me, it did feel a little different. I think maybe in the way it was shot or something to do with the production. But yeah, the lighting was a little bit different to me as well. I mean, the fans were definitely the same. I recognise some of those same faces there, so it's definitely drawing the same audience as it used to. But the thing is, it feels like beforehand, where it was shorter, they had a heavy focus on the few matches that they could fit into that hour. But now it seems like it's a little bit spread out, and people are giving shorter matches, and there's more of them. I'm not too sure. I don't know, so early days, isn't it? I can't really say it won't work out because apparently the numbers are good. But the interest is there right now, isn't it? So of course the numbers are going to be good. The other side to it that I did feel was kind of a downside, even though it's going to sound totally weird because I'm a British person myself, but bringing in all the British wrestlers. I mean, there's NXT UK for a reason. And yeah, it's great to get them out there and have more exposure for these guys. But NXT has its established roster. Why do they need to sort of draw upon other sort of promotions like NXT UK or 205 Live to sort of promote themselves?
Yeah, it was an odd one for me because I wanted it to stay the same, but at the same time I wanted them to enhance some of the good stuff. Like, I felt Velveteen Dream, he come across quite average on that show a little bit. Like, he didn't do the dramatic entrance, and so if you were just tuning in for the first time, I'm not sure he would have got you in that way that he normally gets you, which is a little bit of a knock. But I mean, I don't know. Everything I said off camera off air, that everything WWE's doing is in reaction to AEW at the moment. So it's very hard to tell where their sort of I don't know, their focus is. Like, what are they? Where are they going with this? What is the purpose of the show, other than to put it up against what we now know will be AEW's Dynamite show. Obviously, Matt, they've got another week, which I believe is going to be the same setup as last time, where it's like an hour on USA Network and an hour on the network. There were some slight problems with the network, Matt. Maybe too many people logging in. I don't know. But I know in the UK especially...
I've never had that problem before then.
No, they didn't have... Yeah, exactly.
No one's ever logged on to the network that much.
That's one thing, I suppose. There's Scott Steiner just going past us, by the way. You can hear his entrance. Yeah. No, so I don't know. Is Vince going to come out and suddenly go, someone's going to be on it next week? Like, I'm guessing, Matt, they're going to leave a hook to get you back the week after, because that's the big one. It's like, what happens on that first Wednesday? What do you think they'll do, Matt? Do you think they're gonna suddenly announce a name coming in, or do you think they're gonna stick with what they're doing as consistent for a change, which would be unlike WWE? But will they stay consistent and just have NXT and roll on with the first Wednesday when they go head to head as the same?
Well, I hope that they do continue just to live in their own structure of NXT. Don't draw upon the main roster. I mean, we all know there's drafts coming up soon anyway. So no doubt there's going to be some changes and some switch arounds then. But for now, I feel like they're strong enough as they are to use what they have internally. And when they had Johnny in there and he said he's not going anywhere, he's sticking with NXT, that was a solid commitment to NXT to say that, the talented wrestlers that they have, they're going to keep to utilise and push harder. And it's good because you can be a superstar in NXT now. You don't need the main roster, or at least hopefully that's the dream for the people down there in NXT now. Yeah,
I think you're right. And that's what I wanted to bring next, because I think, how long is it going to be now where WWE now treat NXT as, equal to Raw and SmackDown? Because I think it's got to go to that level, hasn't it? Because, I don't know, I don't see any other way. Obviously, they drew in about a 1.6, Matt. 2.3 is Raw average at the moment, which isn't tremendously amazing to what they used to get. And SmackDown, it goes anywhere between 1.8 and 2. So it's not a bad start for NXT up against those two juggernauts, if you like, that have been around, or Raw especially, very, very established. But does that go to... is that a worry? As good as that sounds, is that a worry as well, Matt, that, it's that close? Or do you think that's just... I mean, what I'm trying to say is, do you think most of the Raw and SmackDown fans just thought, okay, we'll check this out? Or do you think that NXT has got that high rate of audience?